Hello, everybody. How are y'all doing? We're going to get started in a really quick second. For those of you on Zoom, we are going to have a Zoom moment. We would love to show all of you on Zoom into the room here in a hot second. So if you want to turn on your cameras, if you don't want to turn on your cameras, that's fine. I understand. But we are going to try to make sure that everyone knows that you guys are out there too. All right? Pregnant pause. All right. Give us a second. Oh, they're going. Okay, hold on. It's exciting. Is this exciting? Okay, that's exciting. Okay, this is the thing where I click the button on the thing and it doesn't work, and then I have to run back over here. Welcome. There we go. I did it. All right, great. This is a slow moving view of Bolinas coming in. I want to welcome you all. Oh man, I made this too long. Hey, there we go. Hi, everybody. My name is Will Bartlett, and I'm so glad you're all here tonight. We have a bunch of folks in the room here. Thank you all for showing up in the room. We also have a bunch of folks on Zoom. And again, just Mark was going to be here tonight. Unfortunately, Mark had some surgery. He's unable to make it. I want to thank him so much, but I'm filling in, and so I'm going to do my. He's okay. Yeah, he's okay. It's just his eyeballs. That's all that happens. Cataracts. So I'm going to click the button again, and I'm going to have a Zoom moment. In 1 second, I want to show all of you in the room who's on Zoom. So stand by. I'm going to run over here. There we go. Do I have to do it? Do I have to do it again? Do I need to do it again? Okay, longer Zoom moment. Everyone's asking for. Again, one of these days I'll get this sorted out where I can do this without looking at the screen at the same time. But the agenda for this evening, as normal, we're going to start with some community speakers. We have some folks that want to talk about some initiatives that they're working on, so they're going to go through those. We have a presentation about the post office, and then there's a community conversation where we hope to get you all engaged about the stuff that we're doing. And then the community vision presentation, which is a piece that I'm doing a little bit later. So to kick it off. Didn't you do that? Where's the music coming from? Did you do that? Where's the music coming from? It's not you. Oh. Sorry. This is really more than a one-person job. Our first community speaker tonight. Oh, gosh. I swear I think I got it this time. Okay, our first community speaker, West Marin Community Pool, Alyssa. Yeah.
Can I hold you? Maybe. Oh. Hi, everybody. My name is Alyssa. This is April. Hello. And Finn. And we were very inspired by a recent community meeting in this very building to reignite the effort to build a West Marin community pool. Yay! We are being mentored by the amazing community leaders who have been working on this for a long time. So we're very familiar with the issues around funding and around water. And yet, we believe this is a really important community resource. And so we are getting started in the very early stages of getting started on this. And we think a pool is important for a lot of reasons. Uh-oh. We think a pool is important for a lot of reasons. One is that for a lot of our children, we grew up in this amazing coastal area, but the ocean's not always the easiest place to learn how to swim. And not everybody has the money or the time to drive their kids over the hill for swim lessons. It's also a really amazing low impact exercise. And our vision, what we believe this can be, is a beautiful intergenerational gathering place for babies to elders and everybody in between. He really likes the microphone. Yeah. So if you're interested in learning more or getting involved, we've got an email up there, westmaриncommunitypool@gmail.com. And we're particularly looking for anybody. We're particularly looking for anybody who has experience designing pools or building pools. We would love to learn from you, and also anyone with experience fundraising, including from public sources as well as private. So, with that, I'm going to take my baby away from the microphone. You want to say something? Say hi. Okay, maybe next time. Thank you, everybody. We love Bolinas. Bye.
That's westmarincommunitypool@gmail.com. And next up, we have Annie O'Connor with BCLT.
Hi, everybody. Can you hear me okay? Okay. No, no, that's a no. Okay. Can you hear me now? Okay. Great. I am really delighted to be here to have the chance to share about the 31 Wharf project. We had a presentation from our architect, John Lum. This is the downtown project next to Smiley's for those who might need a reminder. We had a presentation in our board meeting last week from John Lum, who's our architect, who presented some wonderful models. And this is a revised site plan from what some of you might have seen previously. So I'm just going to give you a quick tour of it, and the drawings and more information will be available on our website soon. There has also been a lot of discussion about the BCLT in public forums recently. And so I just want to say that I am choosing not to try to speak to everything possible because I have 5 minutes and we all want to talk about the post office. But you are always welcome to reach out to me, to stop by our office. You know, there's a lot that we could be discussing, and I'm aware of that. So just want to acknowledge, but also move us along. So the 31 Wharf project has been redesigned to be substantially compliant with the coastal permit that was approved. But the main change in order to reduce the cost to make it more affordable to build is that we now have 4 duplexes. So we have, and you can just go ahead and go on. Maybe just keep going, and I'm not going to speak to the slides because I can't see them, but you guys will just get a little drive-by tour behind me of, you know, different views of the building, and I'll just tell you some general information. So we have revised the design to be 4 duplexes, which gave us a little bit more flexibility in terms of some of the requirements that we had, which allowed us to lower the cost to something that we believe we can actually afford to build and operate and manage. So one thing that we did is we reduced the number of bathrooms that we had. Previously, all the units, 2-bedroom and 3-bedroom units, had more than one bathroom. They now all have one bathroom, which we feel is acceptable. It's nice to have more than one bathroom, but it's certainly not a requirement. We also have reduced the square footage so that we have very efficient spaces that do have storage for all of the families in the garage, or all of the residents who would live in these units in the garage. But it allowed us to make the buildings more narrow, and allowed us to make the buildings, the back building, shorter, and allowed us to separate the buildings farther apart. So they're about 20% less volume, square footage, than they were previously, which significantly reduced the cost. Also allowed us to take out some of the external stairways, and we had an elevator at one point that's no longer there. The good news is that we believe that we have been able to design something that allows us to still have 8 units of housing, 2-bedroom and 3-bedroom housing, that we can offer to folks who are at 50%, 30% of area median income. Happy to explain what that is another time if folks would like that reminder. And I think we also feel really glad, and heard feedback in our board meeting, that we've been able, over this iterative process, which I know has been painful for many people, to incorporate more community input. So for example, we heard from Smiley's that, you know, they really wanted the opportunity to preserve their stage, to have more daylight hit the patio area. And so by separating the buildings and moving them a little bit further to the opposite side of the lot, we've been able to achieve that. And there's a trash enclosure that would house kind of a bunker under the driveway that would house the trash for Coast Cafe and Smiley's. Details of that are still being worked out, as is the final iteration on the opposite side. We're still in discussion. So Roland is here tonight. Thank you, Roland, for coming. And we're not going to go into too much discussion about our ongoing, negotiations in this public forum, but we are in active communication and trying to resolve what that final iteration will look like on that side of the property. Are there any questions? Do I have time for questions? I do not have time for questions. I hope you enjoyed.
However, we will have a section for the community engagement later on after the post office, if you can hold on to your questions.
And I will hang around, so find me whenever. Thanks, everybody.
Is Megan around? Megan is not around. Okay. I can speak for Megan real quick, I suppose. Hi, my name is Megan Madsen, and I'm looking for people who are interested in the resurrecting the 4th of July parade. And so we're just trying to gauge interest on the bolinascivicgroup.org website. There is a little button down there with a form that you can fill out that will allow you to sign up for how you would like to be involved. And that's just really to gauge interest, to sort of see if we can put a bunch of folks together and see if there's people who would want to get back to doing 4th of July. All right. Thank you so much. And next we have Shannon Collier, who's running to the stage, sauntering, jazzercising.
Hi, everybody. My name's Shannon, and I'm happy to be here. And I'm just introducing an event that's going to take place here on April 23rd, which is a Sunday. And it's put on by the Marine Mammal Center. And for those of you who don't know, they're based out of Sausalito, and they're the largest marine mammal rehab and research center in the world. So they're a really incredible organization. Basically, they're going to come have a chat, tell you about the new things happening, new research, and I think most importantly, help us to understand how we can best interface with marine mammals that we encounter on the beaches or in the ocean. So I don't know about you all, but I've definitely had a lot of encounters with especially seal pups. And it's a pretty intense thing, it can be. And I think for a lot of people, there's not a lot of clarity about how to best kind of proceed when you find an animal on the beach or perhaps in the water. We have sea lions, we have seals, we have a lot of baby pups, especially during pupping season. So Janine's really the one who spearheaded bringing them here at the Marine Mammal Center. But last year, we both kind of had pretty intense experience around one seal pup in particular. And it was just an intense experience in that lots of people were interacting with this pup. Lots of people were trying to help it, trying to pull it out of the water, even pin it down on the beach. There was a lot of interaction. That's exactly, yes, that's my reaction too. So I think the truth is that everybody is trying the best they can to help. And it's kind of intuitive for us to like be really hands-on. And the truth is that even if it's coming from like the best place possible, the best thing is to really not do any of those things. And it's kind of amazing, and it was amazing to Janine and I, just how much need there is in this community for education around interfacing with marine mammals. And then of course, when things get popular and busy here, we all need as a community, I think, to be really well informed in how to proceed and interface with the wild so that we can then also support each other and support people coming into town, because this is going to happen a lot. And so this is a great opportunity to have these representatives come from the Marine Mammal Center. They're incredible. And it's also a great time for us as a community to come together and support each other out there on the beaches, or when we don't know what to do. And I think most importantly, it's our responsibility as part of the community of wild animals here and the sea creatures that inhabit this place, that we know how to best show up for them and help them kind of succeed in the wild, or or potentially at the rehab center if necessary. But so I hope you join us April 23rd, 12 to 1:30, and it should be a really sweet time. So yeah, it's here. Awesome. Oh, yeah. Okay, great. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Shannon. I'm sorry, I forgot the slide that actually has the details of the event on the screen. I just want to let you guys know the community speakers part is a thing that we do with the community meetings, and anyone who has something that they want to share with the community, whether it be an event or an engagement or something, please feel free to reach out. The information is on the bolinascivicgroup.org website under community-meetings. You can find a link there and just send an email. We'd love to have you. And a diverse group of folks who are presenting would be fantastic. So everyone who has something to say to the community, please come on out. All right. Next, we're going to get into the post office updates, which is going to start with a good man over there, John Borg, who's got some stuff to talk about. A lot of stuff, actually, in fact. And so I'd like to get started with that. All right.
Hi, everyone. Thank you all for coming tonight, and thank you all who are on Zoom. We appreciate your support, and we're going to need more of it to get our post office back. And sorry, I'm very scripted here tonight because there's a lot of stuff to go over, so please bear with me. First, I want to acknowledge a few of the community folks that are working on this issue through Bolinas Civic Group, including Sherry Dell, Jenny Pfeiffer, Steve Matson, Melinda Griffith, Einor Sawyer, Howard Dillon, Wendy Bodkin, and others. Also, much gratitude to the larger-than-life sun-kissed community organizer and surf legend, Will Bartlett.
Oh, stop. Come on, stop.
Who brought us
Come
all
on,
here
stop.
together.
Come on.
Many of you have reached out with ideas and perspective and information, and we appreciate that and hope to get you even more involved moving forward. So much has happened in the last few weeks. We want to provide a thorough update and have a lot to review. So thanks for your patience. And there will be time for questions and comments at the end. So tonight we'll try to provide a realistic overview of where we are with the closure, what we've accomplished the past few weeks, some of our key challenges to date and moving forward, clarity on our current focus and strategy, a preview of a solution, and next steps that we all need to take together to get the post office back. It seems that this process is going to take more time than it should. And unfortunately, under these complicated circumstances and with this difficult period that our friends at the Postal Service have with cutbacks, there's no guarantees. At this stage, we all need to push a little harder and exert a bit more community energy, Bolinas style, to get the post office back to our town. The closure was unforeseen and frankly unfair, and we're all frustrated. So to get this on a faster track and done right, we need to communicate to actual decision makers the urgency of returning to the post office, and we need to be focused and persuasive solution providers. Given what we faced, public outcry is reasonable and necessary, but at the same time, we should lead with our hearts and even a bit of empathy towards federal postal workers and officials who are operating in a rigid environment during a difficult era of cutbacks. We must let postal officials at a district level get to know our town and its particular needs and challenges better, so the right path forward is taken. If our current plans don't succeed, we'll need to reevaluate and regroup and keep pushing until we get through and get a post office back. This is the third public meeting of the Bolinas Civic Group. During our first meeting on February 8th, we had a high-profile burned-out building on Brighton Avenue with initial community vision on jumpstarting its rehabilitation. But at that time, we also still had a functional post office right next door and no idea of closure plans. Soon after that first meeting, it was announced that the post office would not be, lease would not be renewed after a year of negotiation. For a brief period, the post office moved to a portable trailer and shipping container in the Waterhouse parking lot. By the second Bolinas Civic Group meeting on March 8th, the Bolinas post office had been fully closed and relocated to Alima after less than 2 weeks public notice, no public process, no clear alternatives, and no information on duration. Just days before the March 8th meeting, Bolinas citizens had already begun to research, organize, and initiate an early action plan to communicate the closure's impacts, the urgency to bring our post office back. Most significantly, we launched a petition with 3 clear and realistic objectives to bring a Bolinas postal facility back. We also created a survey to gather actionable data from residents, and we began direct outreach with public officials and started the difficult work to identify and reach postal officials in a decision-making capacity. By tonight's 3rd Bolinas Civic Group meeting, about 5 weeks from the closure, so much more has happened. Progress, challenges, obstacles, and a more clarified community action and solution plan now in place. Here's a brief recap of what's happened in a month and some facts about why this situation hits our community extra hard. After moving to Olima, a 40-minute round-trip drive up Highway 1 in early March, citizens experienced a difficult transition, including long lines, confusion about pickup times, delayed mail parcels, diminished retail services, and many residents simply having no ability to access their mail or parcels in Olima due to lack of transportation options. Then things got worse. Within days, heavy rains flooded Olima. Our mail was hastily rerouted to a makeshift system in Stinson Beach. Public notice on that second move was late. Some residents still can't get their mail. Drive times and delays to access our mail continue to be a burdensome time suck almost 6 weeks into this crisis with no end in sight. But this hardship also brought our community together and showed the heart of our people. Neighbors are helping each other by arranging to pick up mail for those who can't. Gestures like that are a beautiful thing to see, and we're all going to need to continue to pull together. Bolinas has limited home delivery, so most residents rely on P.O. boxes, as you all know. While residents of larger towns with broader civic and postal infrastructure are less impacted by U.S. Postal Service cutbacks and closures, rural citizens in towns like Bolinas rely on hometown postal facilities as a lifeline for communication, livelihood, health, connection, and fostering democracy. Accessibility to our most vulnerable citizens is especially critical. Our majority senior population has a median age of 65.1. More than 60% of our residents get medications via mail. Throughout this crisis, villagers have reported trouble accessing not only medicine, but time-sensitive documents related to healthcare, pension benefits, government programs, financial information, and more. Beyond an inconvenience, there are legitimate public health considerations here. Our biggest challenge is being a small community dealing with a largely removed federal government agency. We know that our most critical elected officials on this matter, Congressman Huffman and Supervisor Berdoni, are tuning in here tonight, and it's great to see that Supervisor Berdoni has a representative here tonight. Again, thank you. We hope facilities planners and decision makers at the U.S. Postal Service District 1 office in San Francisco are watching as well, or that they review video of this meeting after we post it online. Because respectfully, our town needs you all to hear us, to feel our impacts, and to see our efforts, and to be more directly engaged with our community. It's important to note that we support our frontline postal workers who are doing their best under challenging circumstances. We don't mean to be adversarial, but we do need to be realistic. Candidly, based on objective analysis of what has transpired at the Bolinas Post Office over the past year, and especially over the past several months, it seems that for whatever reason, postal officials have been unable to fully understand the unique dynamics, demographics, challenges, and culture of our town. And we need to change that. Maybe this crisis could have been avoided, and once it started, it certainly could have been handled better. The truth is we have extremely limited viable commercial relocation options in our town. Our needs as a small, rural, coastal community rocked by the unexpected and sudden loss of our post office deserve swifter action and clearer information. We have repeatedly asked routine questions to postal officials about the status and process that would help calm concerns and provide clarity. But so far, the responses have been vague and insufficient, and in my personal view, even a bit disingenuous. It doesn't have to be like that. We honestly want to be problem solvers, not troublemakers, but our backs are against the wall. If you read social media like Facebook and Nextdoor, you know that this communication void has caused long threads of confusion, chaos, anxiety, and frustration, maybe even some conspiracy theories. Some folks question whether the Postal Service may be trying to leverage the lease dispute to perhaps justify cutbacks, force home delivery options that are still not very well defined, and maybe rationalize a permanent closure of the 94924 post office. I've read every press release, and so far, postal officials have yet to provide a specific written commitment or estimated timeline for returning a facility to Bolinas. This does not mean they're not trying, and we do believe that they are. We understand that the post office may need to be somewhat discreet about negotiations and some other matters, but their lack of public engagement has only led to second-guessing, confusion, and distrust. Now, to their credit, it's notable that a few weeks ago, there was a phone conference with a USPS facilities representative and officials from BPUD and our Parks Board, arranged by staff from Representative Huffman's office, who were also in on the call. This was perhaps one of the most promising developments yet, but it happened behind closed doors. We do need more transparency and information, but if the post office only feels comfortable publicly communicating with leaders of Bolinas agencies, that may be acceptable. If things can move forward, if our position can be adequately represented, and if we could get more answers and detailed status updates on a frequent basis. From what we understand, some important information about the viability of a temporary facility at Mesa Park was disclosed to facilities representatives during that phone meeting, but it was only a start, and so far it's only been one phone call. We need to make that type of engagement on a regular basis, even if it's with select Bolinas agency officials representing our interests and consensus. We did not ask for any of this. None of us saw this coming. It's regrettable that we need to spend so much time now to drive to another town just to get our mail, or exert energy organizing and fighting a so far almost impenetrable bureaucratic agency to try to get our post office back. A permanent new facility most likely will take years to fully resolve under the best case scenario. These are real challenges that we have experienced so far, which we think can be worked out with better engagement. Once again, we invite relevant postal officials to attend our next meeting in person to set things right, or to schedule regular update meetings with leadership of relevant Bolinas agencies. I want to touch on Waterhouse briefly. So why don't we just return to the Waterhouse building? We believe at this time that returning to the previous post office site is not a viable interim solution. None of us can control negotiations between the post office and the building owner who evicted them, and who has stated publicly through his attorney that he can no longer consider the post office as a tenant moving forward. Maybe things will change at that location, or new information may come to light, but it does not appear to be an option now. To expedite a post office here, we need to explore other, more immediate alternatives. So, what do we do? Based on everything that we know now, our most realistic and immediate interim solution is to be laser focused on getting a temporary facility in the town of Bolinas. We believe the most viable location is Mesa Park. We have a well-informed, work in progress vision for this solution, as you will see later. That's my tease. I'm now going to recap some of the actions and progress that we've made to date, a strategy overview, and then I'm going to turn it over to the Mesa Park Facility subgroup. Our collective work so far reflects a high degree of community engagement, concern, and clear consensus. First, we established a list of 3 clear and realistic requests to solve this crisis. 1, expedite return of a Bolinas post office to a suitable temporary location within town until a permanent new location is chosen and available. This is our critical focus right now. 2, ensure a planning process that is more transparent, where the public is given clear and timely information and an opportunity to provide input on decisions regarding the post office in Bolinas. I address the challenges on this goal. We're hopeful to get better UPS, Postal Service engagement moving forward. 3, sign a long-term lease or develop a permanent facility to ensure that a post office remains securely in our community for the foreseeable future. Now, in truth, this long-term goal could take years, even with us pushing as a community. Our online petition outlining these requests has garnered widespread attention and more than 1,500 signatures so far, and that's more than the population of our town. Please sign it if you haven't. We polled residents to collect data and opinions. Local sentiments were clear. 90% believed the town hadn't been given adequate warning or proper public process. 98% were concerned that the closure could become permanent. And 99% said the post office is among the top public sector priorities serving Bolinas. We work with the Marin Independent Journal and the Point Reyes Light to make sure community viewpoints were represented in articles. The Marin IJ editorial board wrote a subsequent editorial urging elected officials and the Postal Service to support our efforts to return the Bolinas post office. I wrote a guest opinion piece, which will run in tomorrow's issue of the Point Reyes Light, and we have plans for a press-friendly public rally and broader media outreach to activate our town's energy, get our message out to a broader public, and to reach decision makers. We have engaged directly with Representative Huffman and Supervisor Rodoni's offices. They have both pledged their support to the extent that they can, and we will need their help to succeed. We got on the agenda of Representative Huffman's PAC town hall meeting a few weeks back in San Rafael. He was well informed on the Bolinas post office issue, acknowledged the burden on us, and pledged his support to do everything he can, along with Rodoni, to help us solve this. His office has also reminded us that they cannot control the U.S. Postal Service. Even under the best case scenario, they've told us this will take some time to resolve. The Mesa Park Board has already approved a proposal to explore a temporary facility on its site. The plan is supported by Bolinas Public Utility District, Bolinas Community Land Trust, Bolinas Fire Protection District, and the public at large. As noted, Huffman's office set up a phone conference with a USPS facilities staffer, BPUD, and a member of the Mesa Park Board. Postal officials had initially rejected a temporary facility at Mesa Park, but after the call, they said they would explore it. Okay, I'm going to strategy now. Number one is a Mesa Park temporary postal service solution. If others pop up that could be a possibility, we could also pivot and study that as well. But this is the most viable solution right now, and it has basically support throughout the community and all the major community leadership groups. We convened a subgroup to research and create a plan and budget for a portable facility at Mesa Park. They will review that promising development in a few minutes. Letter writing campaign. Our petition got great engagement and attention. Now we're moving to direct appeals. We hope to get hundreds of letters to the post office official in charge of our district over the next few weeks. So next thing is we got to get letters. Everybody here's got to do it. Everybody write a letter and get 5 people to write a letter, and we'll be good. Letters will support the USPS postal system, mailed to our key leadership target, who is Ms. Raj Sangera, and Raj is the head of USPS for San Francisco and Marin. And we can help write letters, and we kind of have a plan for that, which I'll briefly outline. Letters need to state a clear goal, basically a temporary facility in Bolinas as soon as possible, Mesa Park ideally, and highlight the urgency and burden on our town. Templates and suggested language will be available. This may seem a bit out there, but we want to take a different approach to our letter writing campaign that reflects our culture here. So art inspires change, and we have this concept of doing artwork on the envelopes of every letter that we send to a public official. The added human touch, the added human touch will make our appeals stand out, will raise awareness, influence action, and drive our goals in a beautiful way. We could potentially have local artists or artsy people pre-design the envelopes in advance, or you can do your own. Individuals can send letters directly, but it would be more beneficial if we could collect all the letters and make multiple copies of them to distribute to the press and to multiple decision makers. To move quickly, we'd like to set up a mini letter writing workshop in public. Our idea is to table in front of the Stinson post office during high traffic periods, and also put a table in front of the Bolinas Library. Our letter campaign volunteers would solicit letters on the spot. They can be written while people are waiting in line or after they pick up their mail. Sample letters and addresses will also be made available on the on Will's website. If you could commit to write a letter and get 5 other neighbors to do it, that will really help. And I think that if we're out in public soliciting it, again, we'll kind of raise the issue and get more people involved. Letters are gonna be work, and we really think this idea of doing art envelopes is gonna be a cool thing. We have more plans and details on how to do this, but we're gonna need volunteers and hope we can start as soon as possible. So one of my sort of underlying things tonight is that we need more people to kind of get involved, and basically we could break down small tasks for you to do. So for example, be in front of the post office in Stinson Beach on Wednesday from noon to 2 or whatever. Nothing too crazy, but if we could get more people involved, it would really help us out a lot. Bolinas Library Information Board. We will install a post office update board at the public library in front of the new blue mailbox there. Okay, so this is a mock-up that we did, but we actually don't have a massive window like that. We have like a little window, like the little one over there. But and the mailbox is actually going to move over. So it's going to be a 22 by 34 inch window at the library where we can post public information. It's not a ton of space, but we could post things like current temporary mail pickup locations and times, info on the Mesa Park interim facility, community objectives, details on the letter writing campaign, information on an upcoming community rally, and relevant updates. Bolinas Civic Group post office webpage. Okay. All right. So we're going to be updating. Will already has updated the webpage, and we're going to update it as we can as volunteers to be a little bit more user friendly and populate it with more information moving forward. So ideally, it could be kind of a one-stop shop where you can get all the information you need. And frankly, we're just so busy doing stuff that we just have to kind of get that together. So that's something that will hopefully be helpful. And if you don't internet, you could go in front of the in front of the library and get information. Additional signage. You will see some new signage in the community to promote our cause. And I have one word for you, or maybe it's 2 words: Stu Art. Okay, here's the big one, guys, and with it, we need you here. Okay, Saturday, May 20th, Save the Bolinas Post Office Music, Art, and Community Action Rally. A peaceful and spirited Bolinas-style public rally is being planned for Saturday, May 20, noon on Brighton Avenue. Please save the date. Details are still being worked out, but we hope you will come. It's an opportunity for the whole town to show up and show support. We believe we can have a bit of fun, express our viewpoints visually, verbally, and artistically, get the latest updates, reach decision makers, and get positive press coverage that will help elevate our issue to garner more attention and support. A few ideas on it. This will be a multi-generational community positive rally with a focus on getting our post office back. That's really all it's about. The targets here are the public, the press, elected leaders, and postal officials. We envision handmade signs, art, live music, post office updates, speakers, positive vibes, and more. Get my slide up. The sign, the sign, there it is. Yeah, yeah. All right. Okay. So we hope to set up community action tables with activities like sign the petition, write letters, decorate letter envelopes, and poster art tables for kids and adults to make posters about saving our post office that we'll get out there. Planning, execution, content, entertainment, and public safety considerations are already underway. We already have media plans and interest and plan to film the event and use the documentation as an additional tool to tell our story. More will be announced later. Okay. Volunteers. There's a lot of work to be done to pull all this stuff off, and we need more volunteers for small tasks, on-site, or any kind of assistance. So if you can please help, please do. And now I am going to thank you and hand this off to the Mesa Park team.
Okay, that's a hard act to follow, especially since I didn't know we're supposed to have a script. So, hi, I'm Einor Sawyer, and most of you might know that I'm a physician, and you might think, why am I involved in this? But I think this isn't a luxury to have a post office in Bo. These are critical services for health, well-being, communication on so many levels, and John did a beautiful job laying that out. So our job is really to cut to the chase. As a bonehead orthopedist, I look at things as, it's broken, let's fix it. So problem, solution. So this is the Bolinas Post Office Interim Solution Proposal. I'm only representing, but this is the work of a lot of people, and primarily our subject matter expert, Steve Matson, who I hope is on Zoom because he'll correct anything we mess up, and Melinda Griffith, and she'll be speaking to the site portion of this. So our goal was really to develop what we're calling an informed and viable solution at Mesa Park for BPUD and Representative Huffman to then submit to the post office for consideration. And our tasks were, and we completed, conduct a needs assessment, or what we call a functional requirements document for an interim Bolinas post office. And we also researched two key components of this, the facility and the site. And I want to thank a lot of people, including our advisors, Jennifer Blackman, George Krakauer, Mark Lukanik, Jenny Pfeiffer, who's here, Don Mertz, many post office employees, regional and local, and my sister who's worked at the post office for 40 years in a small town, and also Bolinas post office customers and our community all informed what we're going to show you tonight, what we think is an informed and viable solution. Next slide. And so this is just a visualization of what this would look like. We wanted to, I have a long functional requirements document I'm happy to share with you. It's a little bit of the OCD side of me, but if you want that level of detail, you're welcome to see it and weigh in on it. But basically, it of course need to be ADA accessible, fully contained with bathroom for the employees, offices, kitchenette, workspace for the employees, and optimal flow for the public to access PO boxes, customer services, and read the information and art board that goes up, etc. And also there needed to be good flow for the employees and the post office operations. So we think we've incorporated these. The facility needs to be up to state of California code. And in putting all those requirements together and doing a due diligence search or a landscaping of available resources, we've located WillScott, the mobile mini company, and they provide fully functional professional offices. They have some that meet our needs immediately. And that comes in at a size of about 24 by 60, which is available now. And this is the floor plan, if we've advanced. So this shows you the detail inside that is now customized to meet the functional requirements that we've described. So you can see where the delivery truck is on the backside. There's a delivery dock. And that whole back half of the rectangle is the employee and operations space. So you see the office, the break room, the restroom, and then all the mail processing area coming in from the delivery dock. You see the customer service counter. There's a Dutch door for customer interaction, and then also all the bank of PO boxes, and that number can expand as needed. And then on the front side, the customer side, there's a long lobby. And this is all done thanks to the expertise of Steve Madsen. So we know there's plenty of room for flow, for queuing, for wheelchairs to turn around, et cetera, for packages to be handed off. And in the lobby, you'll also see some shelving along the walls. So if you need to fill out forms or wrap packages, et cetera. So there's an ADA accessible ramp on one entrance and a staircase on the other. And they both connect to parking, which Melinda's going to show you in the site plan. So I'm going to step away from. Do you want to see if Steve has any comments? Yeah, we can do that now or at the end. Steve, do you want to correct anything we've messed up here so far? Is he on Zoom?
Steve, we need you to unmute, please.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Perfect.
I think you did a fine job. And one thing to point out, the ADA ramps and the stairs come with the package. So it's not something we have to build. They come and install them when they bring the portable trailers. So.
And we didn't mention, but this will be coming in 2 units and then joined down the middle. So if you're worried about transport through our narrow, windy roads, this has all been approved for that to easily get through our roads. So I'm going to switch over now and hand this over to Melinda.
All right, so I want to describe to you now the site, and there it is. It's at Mesa Park. As you see, the bottom is the Mesa Road, and you go in, the firehouse is on the right. The skate park is in the far upper north, if you will. And we considered various sites within Mesa Park. But in talking with various stakeholders, the Mesa Park, BPUD, the fire department, we decided after conferring with them and their requests that this is the most optimum site. Particularly the fire department asked that there be free access to the road, the emergency access road up there on the upper right. The dotted white lines coming down on the right-hand side, the raw water pipeline, that's a piping well water from resource recovery up to Mesa Park. And so we didn't want to place the building on top of that. And so if it was on the right-hand side, it would have to be further into the parking area, which would impede the flow to the emergency access road. So this is where we have it on the upper left-hand side. There are dumpsters there right now, and so we want to move those down further. As you can see where the trash sign is, that would be where the dumpsters are. We'll move them closer to Mesa Road. There's the delivery dock that Einar mentioned. We allow for the postal trucks to be able to come in and deliver the parcels and the mail on the left-hand side. The bathroom, which is on the lower left of the building, will have a tank underneath it, which needs to be pumped once a week. And I've already been in touch with the Stinson Beach septic folks who have totally willing to come and do that weekly, because they also know the pain that we have by going to Stinson Beach. And so they like whatever it takes. And that their truck can readily pull up and get access to the tanks. And you can see where the ADA spots are, parking spots that currently exist up in Mesa Park. And so there's a very good flow from the ADA parking spaces down to the ADA ramps that will come with the building. And as Einar said, apparently it's 14 feet maximum wide coming down Highway 1. So these are 12, and then we'll squish them together. So it makes it 24 by 60 for the site. So for the next slide, this is the rough cut of the costs so far. Again, this is initial, but roughly from Will Scott, the renting of that portable building plus the ramps will be about $3,000 a month. And this is all will be, for the post office to pay. In addition to install them, to truck them down, install them, they secure them to the ground is about $25,000. So maybe we could amortize that over the course of the period of the lease. We initially talked with Will Scott about a 3-year lease is the minimum, and then we can go from there. But let's make sure we at least put this in place for 3 years, and who knows if it's 5 or 6. I know that Jenner has these portable post offices, and I think they've been doing it for about 15 years or so. We're not going to go that long, but at least 3. We're going to be optimizing, of course, the parking lot, of the gravel, the grading, and the trenching, and whatever cost that is going to be incurred. And so we'll put that in the cost to amortize to the post office. We've explored water options of either tanks there or have it also be shared water from Mesa Park. I've already mentioned the waste tank, and Mesa Park, there's rent and electrical in the firehouse. So that's the general plan. Steve, while you're on it, I was going to go to the next steps, but do you have any other comments on the design or?
I think you both covered it just perfectly.
I can't tell you what a
think we
pleasure.
did.
Yeah, Steve Mattson has been amazing. And every drawing iteration has been by Steve, and it's just been an absolute pleasure working with him. So the next steps, again, we welcome feedback.
That is, by the way, that is a common sentiment. The pleasure of working with the two of you.
A lot of people feel that way about you?
He ranks high in the humility score. So we want to finalize this proposal. Again, we had a sense of urgency to really create this viable solution, to have BPUD present it to Huffman, and that the two Huffman's office and BPUD submit it to the post office, and for us to really put pressure on them. These portable office buildings are available now. It's not as if they've got an 8-month or 12-month wait list. So really the next steps would be to submit this to the Hoffman office for submittal to the post office and start getting their feedback. And then I also want to work with Rodoni's office to get the county permits because the portable building folks said that's going to be one of the key timed sinks is making sure we have the right permits for being able to put these in Mesa Park. So that's our presentation.
And I said we did a functional requirements document that's quite detailed, multi-stakeholder informed, but there's always room for more input. So please take a picture of this. Our emails are up there, and just send us thoughts you have, things you think we may have forgotten or we got wrong, or the nice to haves you'd like to hear more about. So thank you for any input you have.
Hi. So, community conversation. We're going to try to figure out how to make this work with everybody. Howard, do you want to come on up and ask the question, or I can repeat it for you, and then we have some extra microphones here if people want to.
The obvious question is who is going to pay that sums of money? Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
So obviously the Mesa Park, the post office will be paying rent, and so we need to amortize the costs that are incurred. So their monthly rent plus these installment costs, graveling, all that will need to be put into the rent for the post office. It may need an upfront investment of $25,000 to $30,000 to install these things, and we'll figure it out. That's not a huge sum to figure out, and we'll just have to figure it out. Um, I don't, the question was, how much was the post office paying rent before? We don't know. If anyone out there does know, we'd love to know. So if someone has a sense of that and wants to let us know, that would be great, because I'd like to kind of ballpark it. We've also been given information about other post offices to call and ask them, what are they paying? But I'd like to know what they were paying in Bolinas. Well, so the question was, is there any indication from the post office? As John Borg mentioned, the first phone call that involved the post office, they didn't even consider Mesa Park as a viable option. And the conversation during that call was, oh, yes, it is, and it has the support of the community, and it's a very viable option. And if you look at what's happened to Alima, flooding, and if you look at what Stinson Beach, where our mail is outside and not a soul around, I mean, come on. So I think the call that Jennifer Blackman had with Huffman's office, and I think maybe Fernanda, you were also on that call from Rodoni's office. They were, let's get a package together. Let's present it as a viable option. Let's not talk abstract. Here it is. It's available. We can put it in. Here's the cost. And it's a solution for the community. And then we have to do all the other things we're doing, like letter writing, like our day of celebration, but at least we have a viable plan to submit. Sorry, one more question.
I'm going to repeat the question for the people on Zoom. Has the post office acknowledged that once the summer starts, it's going to be even more difficult for Bolinas citizens to get their mail from Stinson? Is that correct? Thank you.
We haven't heard anything from the post office. I don't know if they're in denial about that. And as John says, we have a sense they really don't know the needs of the makeup of the Bolinas community. So that's part of our education of them.
I just want to ask all of our Zoom users real quick. Is there anyone on Zoom? Just to let you guys know, we will do the thing where we put you on the screen for the room to ask questions and have them answered. I'm trying this out for the first time. I don't know how it's going to go. Jacob, my man over here, is facilitating that. Right now, I do have in the room, though, use the chat, please, to Jake, I believe it's Bolinas Civic Group is the chat. Yeah, okay, great. Does it make sense? It's very complicated stuff here, people. But while we're waiting in the room, if you have a question that you'd like to ask, if you could come up. I'm so sorry I don't have wireless microphones to hand you, but for just 2 seconds, if you could come up and ask the question, that'd be great.
I will start with an answer, which is I have in my head from some source, not trying to be coy, just cryptically don't actually remember, but I have in my head that the rent was around $6,000. And I'm happy to try to ground that, but I'm just going to start rumors. I, I also am seeing this wonderful collection of people who are back and staying so engaged, and I'm also noting, those of our neighbors who are missing, and we have a pretty distinct group of our community that's not represented here. And I'm curious if we had the survey, right, young people's one, so maybe there's multiple groups, but I'm curious if the survey was bilingual, and was there participation from all aspects of our community, or do we maybe need some outreach?
Yes, there was a link on the survey page to a bilingual version. I don't know off the top of my head about the results. I
Okay.
haven't checked those, but we
Okay.
do need more outreach.
Yeah.
And then obviously, I'm not a speaker of the Espanol, so
Yeah.
I would be very gracious for anyone's assistance in helping with that outreach.
Okay, great.
This is
Well,
Will Bartlett speaking again. Goodness, I
So,
figured that out.
the BCLT is in a position to do a lot of outreach, and I'm not going to say I'm fluent, but I am bilingual and happy to assist with some of that. But I know that there's been a lot of confusion across all of our community, and a lot of confusion for people who aren't necessarily getting the same information that all of us are. So I would just volunteer to support with that, and maybe just offer the suggestion that if you want to do the letter writing campaign, on the Thursday food bank that happens here at BCC Community Center. There's usually a long line of people and a very diverse group of people and people who are definitely most impacted by this. So that would be one, and I'd be happy to volunteer to help run that if it would be helpful. And then I guess the last question that I have for all of you is, we've had members of the community suggest that the commercial space that's required to be part of 31 Wharf on the ground floor, that's part of the coastal permit. We've had suggestions that that be something that we offer for the post office as a long-term solution, because that's one of the newest developments that may be coming available. I didn't say before, but I need to be really clear that not all of our funding sources have been 100% recommitted to that project. So there still is the possibility that we can't get it across the finish line, but let's think positively and imagine that by the end of 2024, we have a new commercial space that is available and could be designed for the purpose of the post office. We have also heard a lot of, and BCLT staff had been planning to use that for office space, but we want the post office back forever too. So we're happy to provide that long-term home. I think the thing that we've also heard though is a lot of concern about traffic and impact. So it feels like community members are really split on this, and our board is just waiting and knowing it's out there. But I have an action to actually report to Huffman's office so they can pass on to the post office the details of that project. So if there's anyone who would like to comment on that, even though it's not what we're focused on, and we really appreciate the focus on the temporary, we're just keeping an eye out on the longer term and would welcome thoughts on that too.
Okay, this is the lull of the conversation where I have to do like 3 things at once. So I'm just going to do this. Pardon me. I want to thank everybody. Is there anyone else currently? Anyone? Oh, okay. Yes, come on up. I'll slide this bad boy back over here.
Hi, I'm Wendy, and on another topic that was presented, and I don't see Shannon still here. I just wanted to say that I helped rescue at the Marine Mammal Center a harbor seal pup on Sunday, right at the lagoon on the docks, and it was an amazing experience. And I happened to be in the middle of being trained to be on the rescue team, and so I just wanted to bring that up too. And the Marine Mammal Center has also been, along with the Academy of Sciences, part of the whale that I also happen to report that we have on our beach. So I just wanted to put in a plug for the Marine Mammal Center presentation.
Folks, Megan Matson is here to talk about 4th of July. I know I did an attempt earlier to be Megan, but
how kind of
obviously
you.
I'm so happy that she's here now.
Thank you for this revival of community meetings. It's really extraordinary. I'll be brief, but 4th of July, I think, is a real townwide identity celebration event. I remember egg races as a child on the beach. I remember when Greg Hewlett was arrested and then broken free by the crowd. I remember when Jonathan Okamura and the surfer guys had a duster float that went off the end of Brighton into the ocean at the close of the parade. And then many more refined and glorious and elevating aspects of the 4th for almost 50 years. We almost made it 50 years, but it was canceled in 2020 for obvious reasons. Canceled again in 2021 because everything was start and go. But then when it didn't happen in 22, I realized I didn't know how 4th of July happened. And I had taken it for granted the way I think we've taken our democracy for granted nationally. And I've taken the health of our civic life for granted. And I'm so grateful that everyone here and the really new and honorable leadership shown on all of these really important points. So I started going around finding out, how do you make a 4th of July happen? And I downloaded from the really honorable uh, Briones Lions Club elders, Mike Aiken, and then Matt Lewis. Got a big rundown. I have a giant Google sheet now of what it actually takes. It takes more than you think. And so when I talked to them, they said that they've just had such depletion of the volunteerism, I think, because they've done it pretty quietly for all of us for all of these years. So my pitch today is I'm going to the Lions Club meeting tomorrow night, and Matt said, if you can get a show of interest, support, love, and enthusiasm for the 4th of July, let's discuss how to bring it forward. And I already have a good batch of like go-to powerhouse volunteers. I talked to Buzz, I talked to the fire chief, and all I'm after right now is sort of a show of hands in this room and ideally on Zoom of people who are a yes to the 4th of July happening again and a yes to really going shoulder to shoulder on the invisible work for some of us that has pulled it together in the past. So I guess welcome any questions, or I can just go for the show of hands and then I'll report back from the Lions Club meeting tomorrow night.
And if you're on Zoom, please raise your hand on Zoom as well. We're going to count them out. Wow. Actually, it's almost universal here. 1, 2. People are putting up both hands, 2 hands. That counts. 1, 2, 3, 4,
I feel like
5,
we're at the
6, 7,
auction.
8, 9, 10,
Do
11,
I
12, 13, 14,
hear-
15,
do I
16, 17,
hear
19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. He's okay. He's saying 40. He's saying 40.
I'm saying 40.
And for those of you who have not raised your hand, we did put something on the Bolinas Civic Group
Oh, yeah.
website as
So
well.
Will set up a form on the civic planning website for signups.
It's right on the front page, down
It's right
under
on
the
the front
active
page.
projects. It's a little thing that says 4th of July investment engagement.
And
Connect.
I know everyone's, John, you need volunteers. This is, a lot of it is the one day, the day of. So it's not really in competition with anything. And we can write more letters if we need to on the 4th of July. Okay. 42 on Zoom plus this whole room. Okay. Thank you. Let's have the best 4th of July ever.
Yeah. Oh no, I got it. I got it already. I think I do. I came up with a trick, everybody. I figured out how to put an iPad with a screen over there so I can actually see what's going on. And I'm going to do that for everybody next time for all of our speakers. So sorry, it just took me so long to figure that out. There's one more community speaker. Technically, this was Shannon, but she actually showed up early. So I'm just going to hope that this works out. My name is Will Bartlett. I'm the sun-kissed and often very openly talking about what's in his brain at the same time as he's talking kind of guy. And I have this thing called the Bolinas Civic Group. And I want to give a little presentation about community vision, which I just thought was a great way of encompassing a couple of ideas and thoughts that I've had over the last little bit. So that's my logo, and it has a little map in behind, a little quail refuge. I love it. And that's another transition. But just for you that are not aware, this thing started actually with the original Waterhouse thing. And the mission of the Bolinas Civic Group is to focus on communication, engagement, and supporting the citizens of Bolinas who wish to collaborate in an open or closed forum. And I think we're doing that all right here, right now. And it's actually continuing to be great. And so I just want to give an update of what I'm up to and what's going on with that. So we've been doing these community meetings now for a while, and this is the first one that's sort of running the whole thing. Lots of website and online updates. For those of you who don't know, bolinascivicgroup.org, we're constantly updating it with new information, and new folks are getting to do projects and putting project pages up there, and that's been really great. The post office project's taken a lot of energy and a lot of time, a lot of hours to put together. But also, we've been working on the Waterhouse project, and I don't want people to think we forgot about that. So I've got some updates that I want to talk about that, and then I want to talk a little bit about some concepts that I have picked up on about community planning. So there we go. The Waterhouse update. Well, it's from 2 days ago. It was very sunny that day and also very windy. But let's this is what it looks like. That's what it looks like. but I have a roadmap, and the roadmap actually involves community input. So when we first started this couple months back, we actually did reach out for the ideas of what people wanted, and we collected them in a big old spreadsheet that I have of lots of information about people's interest and stuff. And so a lot of that community input has been saved. The next idea was I found some clever folks who decided to help out, and that was really great. And they said, you know what, let's do some studies about what it could possibly be. And I'm going to show some of those in a second. And then some more clever folks, they might be related to the other clever folks, but they also showed up and said that they wanted to help work out the financial models for that. And then let's figure out how to make it happen or not happen or happen because of whatever. So here it is. These are some studies that were done. This is study 1.0 of an idea of taking the existing footprint of the Waterhouse complex and essentially having a multi-use space below, existing buildings on the side, leveraging all of the available space. And above, there's a number of apartments with some communal areas. And this is just a study of one. This is the first one. There's a number of ways you could look at the site and the complex about how it could be done, but we wanted to start with the simplest one, which is the one that made the most sense. And along with that, there's some financial models that take some criteria in that are to be balanced with that. I put this slide together about 5 minutes before the doors opened, so I apologize that everything's all over the place, but these are the attributes that we've been looking at for these models. And yeah, so that's that. So the idea is that if we can come up with these studies and then we can apply essentially models to them, then we might have an opportunity to see what we can do with it. And I think that's a logical thing to do. So there it is. That's the roadmap. That's the Waterhouse update. That's the roadmap. That's what we've been working on. What else have I got over here? Oh yeah, community vision. So for me personally, one of the things that was really interesting about this entire process is all of the things that I've learned about community, about people, about things that have happened in the past. And I've gotten really into the idea of what a community vision looks like because we've been doing it for the past couple of months now. And so I met this gentleman over there the other day, and you can see us poring over some really old drawings filled with coffee cup mugs and made in ink, and it was really great. And that's Steve Matson, who has graciously told me lots and lots of stuff about what it takes to put a community vision together. And so I've been really gracious for the engagement with him and the things that I've learned. And our town over the years, many years ago, it looked a little bit like this. And it doesn't look like that anymore. A lot of things have changed, and things are always going to change. And so the idea is what can we do to sort of capture our desire for what change should look like? In a lot of ways, my experience personally has been with this sort of civic group has been having folks start to tell and teach me about how things have happened in the past. What they don't entirely know is that when I was looking at the civic group, the ideas came from their original planning and the things that they were doing many years ago, and I was kind of modeling it after that. So it was really great that I've learned so much more about what they're doing. And because I promised myself I would get done at exactly 90 minutes tonight, the Bolinas Community Plan is something that I've learned a lot about. And so I think that one of the goals that I'm kind of thinking about is what can we do to continue this community engagement? What can we do to further our community for the last time it was updated was a long time ago, and there's a lot of changes in the community, so what can we do? So I've sort of taken this idea of community vision and thought to myself, well, why don't we continue the engagement? Let's see what the taste is for updating the plan. And so I've been working on some grants and some funding to try to figure out how to do that. I want to create some working groups for folks to come together and talk about the things that are important and valuable to them and where they think the most impactful things are happening. And I can assure you from our first meetings, I had a list of all of the things, and they're all happening at once. And so given the fact that we have this forum and this repeatable pattern that we're doing of engagement every month, I want to bring these things together, and I want to figure out what, as a community, we want to do for the next part of the community. So I put some more things in there. Resurrect the Bolinas Planning Group, define and refine focus areas, and update the plan. And so that's what I'm focusing on. And so I would hope that maybe you guys would want to do it with me. All right. So I see some slight light claps. I'm not going to wait for claps. More information is going to be up on bolinascivicgroup.org as I get it together and as I'm working on it. But I really do appreciate everyone showing up tonight. Everyone that showed up in the past and everyone that continues to show up. It's been really great to see the community turn out for all of this. And sometimes they say, it takes an oil spill. Well, maybe it takes a post office. So thank you so much for all of your support. All that being said, I do like to end on time. Our next meeting is going to be on May 10th, 6 to 8, again on the Bolinas Community Center on Zoom. And thank you. Oh, yes, Dale. Sorry, everyone. I'm going to go and go back 2 slides if I can figure out how to do it. Oh, there we go.
Cheryl Ruggiero had a very interesting article in Monday's Hearsay, and I really recommend that you all read it. And she raised the question of whether the land trust plans could possibly result in the collapse of our water moratorium and our Bolinas plan. And I thought that the land trust representative would be addressing herself to that tonight. I hope she might have some answers, particularly about the developments on the Teixeira property. And I really don't know what the developments are planned. Cheryl's concern was that the Bolinas plan very clearly advocates that no new buildings be built, that accommodation for low-cost housing and so forth should happen by occupying existing buildings. And she's concerned that the plans of the land trust might be an opening for developers to enter a legal suit, as happened several times before, to break the water moratorium. So there we go. Please read Cheryl's article in the Monday Hearsay.
Thank you, Dale. Would you, Annie, 2 minutes? Absolutely. We do actually have 2 minutes.
I don't know if I can do it in 2 minutes, but I'm going to try to do it in 2 minutes. And I appreciate Dale for bringing into this public space what has already been in other public spaces via the hearsay. And I'm not sure, Dale, if you were here or heard me when I started the presentation say that I was wanting to be respectful of this meeting and not let it, be taken over by this topic. So what I will reiterate is that I'm going to hang around. I'm happy to talk to anyone and everyone about whatever's on your mind. But there are 2 things that I think on behalf of the BCLT membership, it's really important to clarify. And this is something that was in the hearsay today. So if you haven't read it, you can read it there as well. But with regard to the Teixeira Ranch project, the BCLT has wanted to be transparent with the community that we are in discussion with the Teixeiras regarding the potential purchase of their property. But we are in discussion with the Teixeira family. And I think what gets lost maybe in that, language is that there is a family who is grappling with their future in our community. And so if they choose to share with you about what's happening, that is their personal choice and we respect it. But as the BCLT, as an organization, it feels entirely inappropriate to take what's happening in their personal lives, which is hard. I have a tremendous amount of compassion. And I'm sure anyone who's talked to Jim and Susan and Jesse and Elizabeth lately does too. But it's just too early. It's just too early for us to get into the details because we don't actually have an agreement yet. And I think because affordable housing moves at a glacial pace, as Howard reminded me this morning, it probably feels like we're way far along when the truth is we haven't actually really even hardly started yet. So I promise there will be many opportunities for community engagement. We will be looking for opportunities, not just from our membership, but from the broader community, but it's just too early. So and I think it's the Teixeiras, but it's also the residents, 60 plus members of our community who live there and are also really dealing with a difficult time. It's their private life. So it's just, we need to respect that. Thank you. What I do want to say is that we, I believe in Cheryl's piece, there was the supposition made that the BCLT is maybe coercing the Teixeiras into a sale, or working, the county's coercing because we weren't able to develop the 20 acres that was purchased for the BCLT. I'm certainly not, I'm happy to not read that into Cheryl's statement. But what I do want to be clear is that we are not coercing the Teixeiras. We are not looking at this option because we couldn't develop the 20 acres. It's separate. So we look forward to sharing more. And then I think, the last thing that I would say about the water moratorium and all of the other plans that guide our community. And, for those of you who know Sela and John O'Connor, who fought their fights on the environmental side, I have all of their stories rattling in my head as I think about, affordable housing as well. So the environmentalism, I promise you, it's not in my literal bones because I married into the family, but it is steeped in me as well. What I want to just make sure is clear is that we have never, to my knowledge, violated, nor do we ever plan to violate the water moratorium, the Bolinas community plan, the local coastal plan. We are held to really strict requirements because we are quite visible in what we do. So we are really held to hold that higher standard. And I think that it's probably something that's important that we continue to do some engagement around, because I really hear, not just from Cheryl, but from other members, recent BPUD meetings, there is concern. And there is concern about how the BCLT might be in a position to open a door that we don't mean to. And so I just want to reassure that our board is taking that seriously, and we are still digesting that article. It was a lot that Cheryl presented, and so I'm sure we might have more to say, but I'm probably over my 2 minutes now, so I'm going to leave it there. Come find me, I'll be around.
Thanks, Annie. Jenny's also asking for 2 minutes. 2 minutes? 1 minute? 1 minute. Fantastic.
I just had a question come to me that I didn't know the answer to, and I thought it'd probably be a good thing to see if others of you maybe are thinking these things. Joe Bracco just asked me a question about what can be done if during this transitional period and this confusion and chaos, if things happened in your personal life, such as tax documents that didn't get to you or very important information that you haven't gotten, who is responsible for that? And my answer is the post office, but the post office is very closed mouthed, very difficult to get information from them. They have a very strict code, whatever it is. I think it's bordering on military, but I think that it's very important if any of you or people on the Zoom have or know people who have experienced difficulties, financial or medical or whatever. That information really does need to be documented, and you can put it on our website. Is that true? And then we can collect that information and find the right place for that to go, because we can't just let that happen. So anyway, that's all I want to say. And thank all of you. Appreciate it. Thank you too.
I will rapidly create a form for y'all to submit your impact. I want to thank everybody again for coming out tonight, all of you on Zoom, all of you in the room. Thanks for bearing with me as I do many things at once. And thanks to Jacob, my main man with the hat, who showed up clutch to try to manage the Zoom. So I appreciate that, and I appreciate all of you so much. Thank you, everyone. Have a great night. See you May 10th. That's what he says to me.